Twickenham has always been wonderful, and there have been some wonderful occasions we've won at Twickenham. Go into your archive, George. There was Michael Gibson, there was Kevin Flynn, the famous triangle post. You were there the day that Simon Gagan.
All right, well, 62, Mike Gibson's first cap. There was a wonderful crisscross try which went the length of the pitch, and I remember going into a pub in the West End and having a drink, and these smart English fellas saying, "Was there a game in London today?" And we all told them we'd hockey the Brits. That was a wonderful match. And then the Kevin Flynn one, where it's about 60 seconds from time, and Johnny Maloney runs out to McGann, and McGann tells him the move is on, and Flynn had waited 80 minutes because he knew he could take Duckham on the outside. He took Duckham on the outside, in under the bin. Kiernan converts, we beat England, and then the dastardly Scots.
You asked him, Tom. You gave him the rope.
And Gagan's try.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're really special days, but I just look at that and look from the players and the joy, because when you win a match by 10, 15, 20 points, they're easy. When you live in the trenches and you fight for each other, it's
we haven't had too many trench wins like that.
1937.
That's enough of that. The party's starting. Come back to us in a moment.
That is damaging psychologically.
But rugby was never meant to be a spectacle. It was never, when the Victorians invented it, that wasn't what they invented. They invented a game which was the antidote to soccer. It was a game that was about the purity of effort. It was about courage and commitment, character, all things he talked about. And it was classic Victorian
Rugby
things that were counted. And we did it today. And I couldn't care less, like, whether there was an awful lot of passing around went on. It was a wonderful demonstration of what the Irish people, north and south of this border, because we don't have two rugby teams like soccer. We have one rugby team, and it crosses, you want to know, it crosses the political, the class, and the religious divide.
You've got me
and I'm
want to
bloody
play.
proud. I'm bloody proud to be watching this match today.
Yeah, well said, George. Very well said,
George. Now, just to catch up where we are, Ireland now in search. A huge day for Centurion Brian O'Driscoll as the golden generation crests yet another peak. Ahead of us then, some 6 hours of rugby football from Dublin and Edinburgh. And joining me as always, the best front row in world rugby television, Hook, Pope and O'Shea. Now, all the elements are there, Conor. Some of the best players in the world, 20 Lions. We should have a hugely entertaining game.
We should. And, you know, Wales have started each of the matches in this championship giving away leads, but they keep on playing, and they like to play an expansive game. Their backs look exciting. Their pack look a little bit underpowered with people like Gethin Jenkins and Alan Wynne-Jones not there. So we're expecting an Irish win, but a great game of rugby.
Doesn't get much better looking at that weather out there, Popey. It's perfect. No wind, no rain, magnificent sod.
And perfect for sides now that have changed, I suppose, a few years ago, going back to the good old days of Welsh rugby and the tough forwards from the valleys and the Irish team. They now want to play on pitches like this. Hot, dry weather game, so it should be a running game. Both teams want to play it and throw it around a bit.
Wales coming a little disappointed, out of the running, so even more incentive to go out and display themselves.
Well, the two teams are going to approach it differently. I mean, if I was the Irish coach and I believed I had the superior pack, I'd want to beat up the Welsh first, keep possession, deny them possession, principally at the line-out, and I wouldn't play fast and loose because that's a game Wales want to play. So why would we allow them play it? So we're going to try and stop them. Wales, on the other hand, have only played fast and loose when it appears that the game is gone. So I don't think we'll see Wales playing fast and loose until maybe they're behind.
So the quality of this backline in Wales, they can strike from anywhere. They nearly caught France. In fact, if they'd looked over their shoulder, they'd have beaten France. So this is a very good side coming here.
It is. Well, I don't buy the thing. I still believe that France took their foot off the pedal. Yes, there were 2 intercept tries, but they were intercept tries through pressure that was created by France and the physicality of the French. It does, you're right. The Welsh backline, when you look at it, Halfpenny, Shane Williams, Jamie Roberts, if he gets his lines form going, James Hook, Lee Byrne, they can create and cause us trouble if they've got the ball. But Ireland will not allow them get as much ball in that way. They just won't.
No, that'll be it. I mean, George is right. Jonathan Sexton be told at the start just to put the ball in the corner. I mean, you're looking at the 4th different combination, Tom, of second rows and hookers played this year by Wales through injury. But you're also looking at a stat, the line-out stat, they've lost 11 of their own throws, 11. So, I mean, Ireland have stolen ball off everybody else. So, I mean, I think they're underdone badly up front. Delve comes in there as a new ball-carrying number 8. 2 second rows, Charters 6'9", but they're going to struggle up front to get enough ball.
Is there a sense that Wales have underperformed this season? And they are still underperforming because there's huge quality in
I
there.
don't understand any sense about it. I think they have absolutely underperformed. I think they're a bad team with a coach under pressure, playing a game that I don't think they can play, because in order to play the game that we think they want to play, they have to get possession. How can you lose 11 lineouts in international football? In the Six Nations, the Welsh lineouts near the bottom of the stats and the Irish lineouts near the top. So, I mean, I think we can physically muscle them. I think we can beat them everywhere.
They have their best hooker back in. Doesn't mean their throwing problems are solved. Matthew Rees is their best hooker, but taking out of their front five, Gethin Jenkins, taking out Alan Wynne-Jones, their two, especially Gethin Jenkins, as a loosehead prop, the best loosehead prop arguably in world rugby.
But look what they're up against, Conor. I mean, look at that Irish pack. With the, obviously there are question marks, as it always is, about the scrum and the prop forwards. But O'Callaghan and O'Connell are as good a combination as you're going to get. Ferris, incredible in Twickenham. He's one of the great back row talents of world rugby. This is a great pack.
Now, one of the things today, and it's a big day for Jordan Murphy, and he kept the place at 50. He come on at Twickenham, half cooked, game and a half of rugby, performed superbly, and he starts today. Interesting psychology lesson in
Well,
there,
there's a
isn't there?
psychology lesson, and if you look at Dick and Kidney's selection policy per se, then Leo Cullen by right should have stayed in the last match, because if he's going down the line and saying, yes, George,
You have in a team when your back row ends up drunk driving a buggy down the M4. What sort of a ship is this guy Gaffney running?
Gaffney,
I beg
I
your
think,
pardon.
there are some things you allow
Gatlin
players
running.
release. What you can't understand, and maybe we'll talk to Tony about it later, is the mindset of the Welsh players, because they go out to places that they almost court trouble. That's not Warren Gatlin. They were, the city centre, drinking after a match, a golf buggy at 6
Just
in the morning.
explain to our listeners what he did.
He got in a golf buggy at 4 or 5 in the morning, drove down the M4.
fairness, he was going for it. He was going for
No,
breakfast.
hold on now. Hold on.
He was only going for
back up the
breakfast.
truck.
Back up
Back up the
coach.
buggy.
It's
Back
not
up the
the
buggy.
coach's fault.
Back up
Back
the
up the
buggy.
buggy.
Now, hold a minute. Like, it was interesting to begin this programme. Willie John McBride was on it. Hero of Ireland, right? McGurk absolutely went bananas at Willie John McBride there. McBride has made a career out of regaling us of all the hotels they burned down and all the police forces they thumped and all the rest.
But those
And
were the
suddenly-
amateur days.
And suddenly,
There is a complete
suddenly-
But I think
difference.
McBride would have stolen a lorry rather than a buggy,
all right,
come to
now,
think of it.
hold a while. Now, relax, like. I mean, this is a young man full of testosterone.
Absolutely.
He's played for his country. He's had
won
a
in the
few-
last minute.
He's
He's
had a few beers,
Yeah.
and he's got in a
which
golf
he's entitled to do, but you don't do that.
That's a bit.
No,
don't go
I tell
the
you where the
extra
difference. I
yard.
tell you where the whole
He
difference.
has been outrageous. He shouldn't be dropped because he's a crap back row, but he shouldn't be dropped because he's a crap buggy driver.
But the
Down the
difference
motor.
is,
Right,
hold
we'll
on,
leave
the
it.
difference is
We'll
what
leave it.
was said by the coach. If there was a situation where the coach said, you're not going out drinking after this match with a match, then it's a whole different thing. But if the coach says, go out and have a few beers, enjoy yourself, well, then they've got to
And
take the
Gatti is
consequences.
always had a relaxed view
And
about
Gatti
drinking
has
anyway.
made
Can we
a
actually-
legend of saying idiotic things like the Welsh don't like
has,
the Irish.
and
This time
very-
last year
very
we were
interestingly-
embarrassed under the table for him.
Very interestingly, he's gone away from that. He does not want to try and light any blue
Yes.
tuck paper this week, and he knows he's under
All
pressure.
right.
George hit the nail on the head. They don't have a front five that threatens us, and if it becomes a tight game, we'll
All
beat
right.
them comfortably.
Then
There,
you need to play
okay,
golf
we
now
got to
and
go to
become
the
a
break.
rally driver.
Just to reassure you, there are no buggies around Croke Park. We've kept them out of the stadium.
There are.
There is.
There are.
See one.
No, that's not
Don't be deceiving the public, Tom.
All right, we're filling up here. The crowds are coming in. Big crowd coming in from Wales, and as always, a great occasion. A disgrace, the people who pay money to watch that, isn't
Well, I
it?
thought England nearly bored them to death in the second half. But, moral victory for the Scots. I mean,
You
they don't
still
get-
awake, Georgie?
No, I don't see it like that. I mean, rugby was never designed as music hall. Rugby was designed as theatre. And no, when the Victorians sat down and said, we're going to play this game, they didn't start thinking that it was going to be on television.
There's an
Exactly.
designed for
Are
intent.
you quite
to want
happy
to
to
play.
have watch match like that every week just because that's in the nature of the game it used to be?
You train to play.
Exactly.
You train to get the ball in your hand. You train to run. You
I
don't
thought
train
you were
to
pure
kick.
music hall, George.
But you remember when we had no players, we kicked it up in the air and ran after
but
it.
there was
passion,
And
there was-
we're just superior now because we have a good team. When we had bad teams, we prayed it was
There
going
was
to come
always
down
passion.
out of the heavens.
Always
Gotta
passion.
get up there. Passion me
They're
on.
going for a walk around Croke Park to continue this argument. We'll come back in a minute.
No more where Ireland are.
George, you
when they
like
go
the
to New
difficult
Zealand.
questions. Have we plateaued?
If you mean by a plateau, are we at a level? We are. We are at
The same as last season.
I would say
We should be better.
No, not at all.
Why shouldn't we be better?
Because we won the Grand Slam last year for the first
But I'm
time
talking
in
about
61
performance.
years. I think this is a team that you look at over 18 months. You don't look at it over 4 matches. Over 18 months, they have attained a consistently high level. So the kind of plateau you're talking about is more the high veld rather than the curragh. It is, they are on a plateau at a very high level. Does that answer your question?
And also, you said, are we trying to develop a game? We went out against France in the first 20 minutes and we ran at them. We took them on. We didn't play conservatively. We have scored 3 tries. We have scored. Potentially it was, but they're trying to evolve. If you're talking about moving from the plateau, you have to evolve.
Should we have gone out against France and stuck it up our jumper for the first 20 minutes?
Well, then you wouldn't be evolving as a team.
No, but you might win. But you might win.
And we wouldn't have beaten France if we went out there with 6-inch mortars.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
No, Tom.
But you're not going to know. You're not going to know to the off season. We're not going to know to the lead up to the World Cup whether or not they've played over, whether or not they've grown or not. Because I think the standard this year, this particular year, has been very limited.
You'll find out in the summertime.
That's what I mean.
Do you want to talk about the state of English rugby? I mean, that's the Premiership that England are playing. I know it's hard for you to say because you're taking over a Premiership club tomorrow.
I slightly disagree.
Is miserable.
I think when you look at the selection that Martin Johnson has put in it, that's the issue. They picked.
That's worse than
You're
that,
actually saying Joe Worsley is an open side to try and play creative rugby. That is not in a million years the way to play. So you go out with the mindset of not trying to play.
Their skills are non-existent.
Tom, when you look at the Premiership, you see, if you look at each team in the Premiership, they have a high percentage of players who are not qualified to play for England. So Johnson can't look at 12 teams, is it, in the Premiership? He doesn't look at 12 times 15 or 180. He looks at 12 times 6 or 7 times 70 or 80. And he doesn't get enough players.
We have some people here, like I had a little Papa George yesterday talking about selecting people for what they don't do rather than what they do. So you take Tomas O'Leary, classic example. If you want him to be the classic scrum half in the Peter Stringer passing mould, he isn't. What does he bring? Declan Kidney looks to say, what does he do for this team? It's the Jamie Roberts tackles.
He's a wee bit hard done by, because like any coach coming into it, he's paranoid about winning first. So it's all very well for us to say, look, looking back on it, yes, he should have put all the young English guys in yesterday and said, go out against Scotland, you've nothing to lose because you're going to be crucified in the press today. But what he's saying is that he's hoping that the likes of Wolseley develop.
It's a terrible game.
But he is hoping.
Just before we talk about Johnson, can I just raise this with you, George?
Wow.
We have to face the crisis facing rugby football at the breakdown. We discussed it partly yesterday. Something has got to be done about it before the World Cup because we have referees in different hemispheres playing different rules. Isn't that correct?
I used the word conspiracy yesterday, and before I said it, I thought about it, believe it or not. And it is a conspiracy. It is a conspiracy by the 3 countries of the Southern Hemisphere who have different financial issues, first of all, different financial imperatives, where they're in Australia, there's rugby league and rules competing.
They're trying to make the game more simple for television.
And all they want to do is make a simple game for television. What I don't understand, I must say, is Paddy O'Brien met Kidney and McNaughton this week. He then went to France and met Livremont. And these coaches of 2 of the best sides in the world, this guy says, listen, this is the way it's going to happen. Why are France...
He is the head of referees, Paddy O'Brien. But just to explain who he is.
He is a New Zealander who is the head of the referee, right? Now, and he calls it, that's his job. But why...
Does he make the decisions, George, about the rules?
But of course he does. I mean...
So he's making the game up?
Well, he's making it up as he goes along, because in the old days he used to make it up over a bottle of port in the East India Club, and 80-year-old men would sit around and tell him, I say, old chap, we should change the scrummage. Now, strangely enough, they got it right. These so-called experts in the Southern Hemisphere are the creators of the LVs, have got it hopelessly wrong.
Before you get a phone call in saying we're playing under different rules, we're not playing under different rules. We said it yesterday, we're playing under different interpretations of the same rules, which is a massive difference. But it is from their point of view. They're going to say they're not changing the rules.
At the end of the day, whether you like it or not, or whether you agree or not, the power base of rugby remains in the Southern Hemisphere.
No, it remains in Mr. Murdoch's wallet.
as George say, horse manure.
It's
Tom.
not horse
If you
manure.
look, it
It's
is
not
horse
horse
manure.
manure.
It is.
It's
Because
in
if you look
Murdoch's
at the
wallet.
winners of the, give me all the winners from the Northern Hemisphere of the World Cup for a second. Give me, fly them off now. One.
Winners.
England. Winners.
We're
So the
talking
power
about
base-
who's now dominating the rules of the game, Brent.
No, we're talking about George talking about conspiracy that
This
the
is
Southern Hemisphere
going
are
on
doing
off the
this.
pitch.
No, it isn't. It's because you're sitting over here in the Northern Hemisphere and saying
Well,
this,
Popey,
this, that.
I
Yeah,
think
they're,
what we're- I
they're
think-
trying to make the game. They are trying with the breakdown rules, symbolism, to make the game more fluid and to get away. That's what they're trying to do.
All right, well, let's even for a moment, right, for the purposes of argument, let's even say that, it's not a conspiracy, it's all nice and all that stuff. Let's accept that just for a moment.
Okay.
How in the name of heaven did the International Board, O'Brien's boss says, how did they, in the middle of a tournament, in the middle of one of the biggest tournaments in world rugby, say we're going to have different interpretations?
They just said at the start of the Super 14 this year. Halfway through, they're only just playing it under the Super 14 this year, and they would say, well, it's as big a competition to us as your Six Nations.
We
are
are seeing more
But Brent, what
70
you're playing on
points.
Saturday mornings is not rugby anymore.
Says who? Says Tom McGurk.
72 points to 50 is
Says
hardly
Tom McGurk.
rugby. Well,
Look,
that's an opinion.
No, it's an opinion, exactly.
The opinion
think
has
it's
been driven-
rugby?
No, I think.
Do you think it's rugby?
Tom, sorry, no. Tom,
Do
can
you
we
think
just say,
that's rugby?
Can
There
we
you are.
just
There's
say-
three opinions.
But
Brent.
three opinions from the Northern Hemisphere. We're not sitting here trying to vote.
We could be from Mars. It's
okay,
our
I'll give you
opinion.
an example. If they change the soccer rules tomorrow, and Brazil and these teams in Argentina said, "Hey, we're all for it," and speeds the game up, and somebody down in a team that scores no goals says, "Hold on a minute, we don't agree with it," that's fine.
But Popey,
I'm not
where
saying
they're
it's
worried
right.
about
ain't
is the
what we
people
have.
coming through the gate. No, they're not coming through the gate because of the quality.
They're going to come
of
through to
rugby.
Scotland now, and
no,
Scotland
they're not.
and
that
England.
is an issue.
But
That is an
that's
issue.
what I'm trying to say, Conor. Said the reason behind it, forget about conspiracy.
it's
The reason behind the breakdown change is to try to make the game
right,
more
guys.
attractive.
Yeah.
And if you get an England versus Scotland game, rugby is going to be ruined. So
We're
forget about that.
to go to Paris.
No, we're
about
not.
to go. Yes, we are. We're going to Paris.
You don't have to have two
For that
specialists.
high ball, Rob Conor gave away that penalty. He had other options.
Look, Connie is now at a position where he must be judged and evaluated again. Jordan Murphy, on the basis, admittedly, of a cameo performance, looks a better all-round player. Kidney now has the opportunity to go to the Southern Hemisphere and re-look at all his options. This isn't the end of the world. We got a wake-up call in Paris, then we got a wake-up call in Twickenham, then we got a wake-up call last week. So it's taken a while for this wake-up call to
This is
permeate.
not a wake-up call.
This isn't.
This is a
outrageous.
nightmare. This is a nightmare.
The alarm has gone off.
The worst team in the championship.
it's
who
a-
didn't score a try. Come and hammer us.
Not the worst side.
They are the worst side
They
of
are
the championship.
not.
When did
Tom,
they last beat somebody, George?
Tom,
Today.
forget about when they
Before
last.
today,
Forget
George.
about when they last won a match. You look at their performance, and we said one of the best, most structured, most organised, most passionate performances of Scotland for years was against Wales. They should have won. They lost players. They're losing games. They lose confidence. But today they stuck to their guns.
Look,
they are improving under
The
Andy
wake-up
Robinson.
call is this, Tom. You don't gift a team the win. And in a way, Ireland started, and we thought they were going to run away with it by 20 points. Tommy Bowe coming in, but they started to panic. The passes didn't go. Scotland grew in confidence, and Scotland were good enough to take it home. But it's not a
at the
panic
beginning
situation.
of this championship, it was as plain as the nose in your face that Scotland were going to be a difficult team to beat. It was absolutely obvious in terms of the kind of
And
coach
everybody
they had.
bet them except us.
No, not everybody didn't beat them. Everybody didn't beat them.
They drew with England and should have beaten Wales.
In any kind of justice, they had a moral victory against Wales. They drew against England. They are a good side. They are an organised side. They have a smashing
We
squad.
made them look a lot better, though.
No, but we said
You
that.
think they're a good
The
side,
issue-
Conor O'Shea?
We made them look a lot better.
Listen, we know where their weaknesses are, but they have got a very strong pack. They've got a good 9, and they have a kicking 10. He's not going to
If
set
their
that.
weak-
He
if
played
their
well in the
weaknesses-
championship.
if their
Come on,
weaknesses
guys,
in the
you
mid-
sat in
No,
those chairs watching Scotland
Yeah,
play,
Scotland,
talking about
Italy.
paint dry.
But their weaknesses.
So where is this
But their
Scottish team
weaknesses
come
in
out
the
of?
their weaknesses in the midfield and out wide. But we couldn't get enough ball.
You've no consistency. You've sat in those
Excuse
chairs
me.
for the last
Excuse
5 years
me,
saying Scotland were
excuse me.
appalling.
That's right.
And now suddenly they're a
Back
team.
up, we went out in today's match. We said they had a set piece and they had a scrum. Our line-out fell apart. Our scrum
You
struggled.
said their wages should have been taken off them 2 weeks
we
ago.
never said that.
We
You're
never
actually
said
putting
that.
words into
Last November,
Ridiculous.
I told you. Last November, 6 months ago.
When you thought they were going to win the championship.
No, I told you. they were going to be the dark horses of the championship.
The dark mouse.
You poo-pooed it. You said nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. More flights of fancy by all.
They've won one game and drawn one. What's dark horses? That's a pony.
They have not lost a game by more than 9 points under Andy Robinson. They are competitive.
Yeah.
And we said that all
look,
along. But
if
it
we
should
had-
have been a win for us.
We're supposedly the 4th or 5th best ranked country in the world.
Yeah.
We have a scrum which is probably 12th ranked. And we have a line out that when push is come to shove, it's under pressure without Flannery. Without
Scotland.
Flannery.
Yeah.
The kick against Palliser meant that Kidney was forced to go into this match with an inexperienced, unproven reserve hooker. That's why he didn't make the change.
But there's more to it than that. You got to give Rory Best his credit. He has been a good thrower. I mean, for some reason, the line-out just got unlocked today. You know, they had
How
those
could
games.
you overthrow at the end of the line out 3 times and keep doing
Because
it and
there was
stay on the
pressure.
pitch?
There was pressure by Hamilton in the middle. Look, the heights of
But
There's
6'8",
no
6'9".
pressure on a hooker throwing the ball over
Just
a
gotta
line
get
out.
the ball.
There
Honest,
is-
There
the
is
heights-
if you see someone contesting against you. They got their contesting
That's
pods in the
an
right
inaccurate
place.
throw. It's nothing to do with anybody on the ground.
Tom, you were looking at a different match to us.
No,
You
he
were
was
looking at
right.
a
He was right.
complete-
It wasn't
I'm
an
absolutely
accurate-
right.
it wasn't
3
accurate.
times
It's not
he
your throw,
overthrew
it's
the
your
line
pressure.
out,
But
George.
no, through pressure of not winning your ball in the middle of the line, so you've got to feel that
He's
time
gotta
to
go
get
somewhere else.
Some days you have to look and say,
Yeah.
if Ireland played to their best and
They would've
Scotland to
won.
the best, we'd have won. We've always said that. Today, Scotland played brilliant
Okay.
game,
Well,
and they took our set
we have
piece
some-
apart.
we-
How many lineouts do we throw to 2 and have a rolling maul? 1. And from that 1, we got 3 points. Right? Now, captaincy is still important in this game. It's not just coaches and managers. How the captain failed to say, and O'Connell principally in the back, hold on, lads. Throw to 2, catch it, maul, drive, and
but there was another option. The man who won lineouts all season in the first 3 games was Leo Cullen. Isn't that correct?
no,
And why
absolutely.
did Kidney leave him sitting on the bench?
I don't know.
Because I think I have to say
What's wrong with him?
that the failing of the liner was as much about the thrower as it was about the catcher. And Kidney made
Yeah, but
you
you've
know,
still
All right,
gotta
we
make-
got to go
I'm not arguing against
we
Cullen.
got to go
I'm
to
not
somebody happy. Man of the match, Dan Parks. He's standing by with Kidney.
So
And
Liz,
they go and get it wrong. Dan Parks, with a minute to go, with a very unsporting crowd booing, hit this ball between the posts, and this was the winner, Conor.
This guy has taken more stick, I'd say, than any other player in the championship over the years. And if anyone actually deserves to do something, you think, will he be able to bring their game on? He probably deserves it because he is